message to him also. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, can you
Yes,
hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep, thanks.
Can you can hear me, right?
Yes, 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 I can hear.
All right. Right. So we have started servlets. I think this was the first program that we discussed.
Yep.
So usually what is a servlet? We know it is a server-side Java program. So when we say it's a server-side Java program, on client side, there should be some application which is running. Okay. So on the client side, usually you will have JSP, JSF, Spring MVC, free marker, etc. So there are so many technologies on the client side: Angular, HTML, JavaScript, etc. Okay, so basically servlet is an application which is running on the server. So this is a servlet. This is a server. Okay, so basically application runs on the mechanism of request and response. So this is a client side application, and you have a client applications like HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Okay, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, CSS come together. HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Angular, JSP, JSF, free marker. These are all some front end technologies. Velocity, Vadin, etc. So many technologies we have. So on the client side, you will be having these many applications. So basically, the main fundamental of servlets is the servlet has to read information from the client. The servlet has to read information from or the request, what is requested by the servlet. Now the request information is being encapsulated in request object. The request information is technically encapsulated in a request object. It's a request object. So the main purpose or the main fundamental responsibility of the servlet is to provide services to the clients. Now, how it will provide services to the clients? By reading the request information. So it has to, there should be a mechanism to read request information. And after serving the request, what it has to do? It has to send the response. So as a servlet, it has to deal with two most important objects, that is request and response. Request and response sent by the clients. Okay, request and response sent by the clients. So in the previous example, what we have seen, the first example, so when we say servlet, basically servlets are of type HTTP servlets. We talk about, when we say servlet, it is of type HTTP servlet. Okay, there are generic servlets also which work on different protocols. Generic servlets work on different protocols. Generic servlets work on different protocols. Example, FTP, SMTP, NNTP, etc. HTTP servlets work on HTTP protocol. HTTP servlets work on HTTP protocol. Okay, so these are HTTP servlet we are talking about. So it has to read the request and send the response. In this scenario, we created a servlet. So every servlet has to extend HTTP servlet. Every servlet has to extend HTTP servlet. Now here we have a default constructor we are using. It is not compulsory, but still we can remove. Okay, the most important method what we should have in a servlet is get method and post method. This is a method which will serve the request of the client. This method serves the request of the client. Okay, this method serves the request of the client. So that is the reason this method public void do get or protected void do get takes two parameters, HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. And every request will throw two types of exceptions, that is servlet exception and IO exception. it will throw two exceptions, that is servlet exception and IO exception. These are compile time exceptions. Servlet exception and IO exception must be handled. Servlet exception and IO exception must be handled at compile time. Okay, so these exceptions must be, servlet exceptions and IO exceptions must be handled at compile time. Okay, so here we created a servlet, and since we created a servlet with HTTP servlet request and response predefined interfaces, these are HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response are predefined interfaces, and HTTP servlet exception, that is IO exception, these two are classes. IO exception and servlet exception are classes. We have to import all these packages, class and interfaces. We have to import. All are available in javax.servlet, javax.servlet package.http, and web servlet is an annotation. So all annotations are available in annotation package, javax.servlet.annotation, javax.servlet.servlet exception, http exception. Okay, so here next, so public void do get, we have to, it's a predefined method, we have to override this method, public void do get. So all we need to do is create a servlet which is an extension of HTTP servlet, and then provide definition for public void do get. Now in do get, what we are doing, we have to set the response type. We have to set the response type. What type of response is this? It is of type HTML. Okay, so response dot get writer, print writer we want, and of course we should also use response dot set content type. Okay, response dot set content type, we have to specify response dot set content type. It is text slash HTML. Response dot set content type text slash HTML. Okay, and now why we are getting these exceptions? Because we have to import, we have to include Java runtime environment. That is why we are getting these exceptions. It is not identifying these keywords. Now let us see why it is not identifying. Let's right click on this. Properties, deployment assembly, add Java build path entries. Next, select build to include. So there are no build path entries here. We have to include them. So right click on the project. Okay. Let's cross check once again in libraries. So if you see in libraries, there are no additional libraries except Tomcat server. So we have to add libraries. For any servlet to run, we require two jar files. One is servlet-API and JSP-API. Servlet-API, comma, JSP-API are two jar files required for servlets, or two jar files required.
A build path, right?
Servlet API, JSP API are two jar files required for servlets. Okay, these two jar files are required. Servlet API and JSP-API. So we have to include them. We have to include them. From where we have to include? We have to include from the servlet-API and JSP-API. So we have to configure the build path for that reason. So right click on the project, any servlet you require these two files, servlet- and JSP-. So build path, configure configure build path, add external jars, okay. In add external jars in Tomcat library, when you install Apache software Tomcat, you will get all these files installed. See, Catalina, which is a main file for Tomcat to run, JSP- and servlet- API.jar file. I have included these two files. Okay, apply. And next, what it says, it is unable to identify JRE libraries. That is Java runtime itself, it is not detecting. So what can we do? We have to add Java runtime to this. Okay, now how to add? Let's get back here. Properties, Java runtime. Add library. You have to choose add library. So workspace default JRE. Click on finish. Apply and then apply and close. Still it is not detecting. See, it is not identifying java.language package means problem is with the JRE. So let's reconfigure it once again. Add libraries, JRE, click on next, alternate JRE, click on finish, apply, and then apply and close. Now the issue is resolved. Okay. So here we have only one issue, that is response. Okay, S is missing. Response dot set content type. Right. So here we have a servlet created now. So this is a web servlet. So we use @ web servlet annotation. And these are predefined classes, IO exception and servlet exception. These are must you have to include. Every servlet has to handle servlet exception and IO exception. So who is handling get method? Get method is trying to explain the caller that the caller has to handle servlet exception and IO exception. And the parameters what we take is do get and do post methods takes HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. Okay. Now let's come to this point. Response is something we require. That is the reason we have to specify. It should be text/HTML. Set content type is text and HTML. Now print writer is something which is a predefined IO stream class. It is a predefined IO stream class. Predefined IO stream class for handling servlet IO. Okay, now using this class, now we have to give instructions to display the output in a HTML format. So Outer is Java content, outside is Java content, and all HTML should be in double quotations. All HTML should be written in double quotations. All HTML code must be specified as input to the Java code. Okay. All HTML code must be specified as input to the Java code. So pw.println HTML. Now the entire whatever display you want, whatever output you want, you have to specify in HTML content. And here comes again, we want to know information about the client. Usually server will try to locate information about the client. Usually server will try to locate information about a client. Okay. So here request dot get local address, get content type, context header, all these are predefined methods which internally server uses in order to know about information about the client. And this is closing HTML tag. This double quotations is completely for display purpose. This is other than Java content, that is HTML. Now let me save all the files, and now let us start execute this. Run as. Now since it is a servlet which is executed on a server file or which is executed as a server application, we should run on server. Okay, so which one we are using? We are using configured is e-pharmacy dynamic web project. It is configured successfully in the server. So let's click on finish. So your Catalina is started. So it has started in so and so milliseconds now. Okay, it says some exception. Error initiating server class. No class definition found. Class not found. HTTP servlet. right. Okay, let us see. Now, in this, one more important file is web.xml. Now, this is a project. Okay, so anytime, whenever client sends a request on the server side, there is an important file called web.xml. Web.xml file. Web.xml file is configures servlets. It configures servlets, okay? Web.xml file will configure servlet and it acts as an index for servlets. Server will look for web.xml file for servlets location. A server will look for web.xml file for servlets location. Now let us see if we have specified that file or not. So this is our application. We know this is a deployment descriptor. Okay. Deployment descriptor servlets. Now web.xml is called as deployment descriptor. Okay, web.xml is called as deployment descriptor. So if you see, we have index.html, com.users.user details. Okay. So we have configured the servlet mapping. Okay. So servlet followed by servlet name. Any name you can give, but class should be same. Any name you can give. So com.users.user details. Servlet name is user defined. Servlet class is, it should be the class name, Java class name that you have to specify, and servlet mapping. Now where to map this servlet class? Now where to map, to which servlet to map this name? So servlet mapping includes servlet name. What is the servlet name? This one. That is com.users.user details. So this you have to specify here, com.user.user details. And what is the URL pattern that you are going to use? This is also user defined. Slash user details. Okay. Slash user details is the user defined file. So if you see what is the URL pattern that we are taking, @web servlet slash user details. So it should be matched. So same, this is also matched. So there is no issues with the web.xml file. Web.xml file also correct. It has no issues. It is correctly mapped, that is slash user details, which is what we are using, slash user details. Slash user details here is correct. And this is also correct in web.xml, that is in URL pattern. At the same time, this is correct in annotation also. So in these three places, we are using a right name. Now the problem is internally it is not identifying this. So while parsing, it is giving an exception. Parsing XML parser, fatal error at line number 1, column 39. It's on microsystem so and so. Web.xml file. So it is not able to parse the XML file properly. At line number 1, column number 19, premature end of file. So it is not reading your servlet is, that is your server is not able to read your web.xml file. Prematurely it is closing the XML file. That is the reason it is not executing. Okay. So what we can do is Let us re-execute the file. Let's see what are the error pages it shows. Let's see if we have something to do with this versions. Okay, so this is also no issues. So we are using version 4 only. So that should not be a problem. Let us re-execute the application. Restart the server. Okay. So we are able to get the home page, means your application is running successfully. E-pharmacy. Okay. Now let us call the servlet. So what is the servlet name? Slash user underscore details. Error instantiating servlet class. Okay. Mhm. Okay, let's go to web.xml file. Let's give only servlet name without giving its package name. So I have removed the package name for servlet because it says in the error message, error instantiating servlet. So it is not instantiating the servlet. Okay, so let us change the servlet name and then try. So server is not updating. We have to restart it again. Or else we can run as. Okay, so your welcome file is working properly. Let's use user details. User underscore details. Com dot users dot. Okay. So for servlet class, we have to give package name. Run as run on server. Okay. I have added another version of Servlet API and JSP API. So let us see if it has to work. Otherwise, there might be some corruption, software corruption, Servlet API corruption. Okay, this is working. Means our request to response is clear. That is from the client, we are able to communicate with the server. If we are able to get the home page, it means that we are able to communicate with the server. In the server, we are asking for the servlet. What is a servlet? User underscore details. This servlet we are asking. Let's see. Did not find. Let's create one more project and let's see if something issues with the project or what. Okay, so let's say pharmacy. Okay, web.xml. It's version 3.0. Now let us create index.html. I'll copy the same application, Control C, Control V. Okay, so this is the package. So under Java resources, we have to create a new package, com.users, new package, com.u com.users, finish. So inside this package, let us create a new servlet, user underscore details. Click on next. So URL mapping is user underscore details. Click on finish. So protected void to get I'm overriding. Okay, so here since we are calling, we can call from do post also. So protected void do post, I'm giving a call to do get. So let's uncomment this. You can uncomment this one. Okay, you have a web.xml file ready. User underscore details. Okay, so this is a servlet file, user underscore details. Now let me execute this. Run as, run on server. So it's refreshing server Tomcat servers adapter list. So let's wait a minute. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Are you talking to us?
Hello.
Yeah, you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah, you
hear
can
you.
hear me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a server issue. What you can do is I'll forward this program. You please execute in your machines. I will also reinstall Tomcat.
Okay.
Okay, and we will see tomorrow this application. I'll reinstall and then we will execute tomorrow. I'll forward
Okay.
this right away. Just let me take up this file. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll send an email so that as a file you will receive as an attachment. Here
Okay.
also we have a file attachment. Mm, This is all ready-made content, so I'll just send this file to you.